Hi there to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by 6 o'clock. We thank you so much for joining us on the news. Our major stories right away. Students of the Anglophone subsystem of education began the written part of the General Certificate of Education, the GCE, today, Tuesday, across the national territory. In the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon, we noticed the presence of security officers in most accommodation centers, and also several students were assaulted. We will be telling you how it happened in Boya, Limbe, Kumba, and Kambe in this newscast. And now, what transpired after the program Equinoxe that was yesterday? Why was one of the guests, Barrister Kenye Fabienne, whisked up by armed security officers immediately after Equinoxe? We will come back to the event in the course of this newscast, so stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. We thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. We told you a while ago in the headlines that students of the Anglophone subsystem of education began writing the GCE today across the national territory. And despite a few absences in Douala, the government bilingual high school in Bepanda Examination Center recorded 98% percentage present on day one of the written part of the GCE. A reporter for me, Antron Sanda, was there. He now tells us more.
A systematic interval check before the start of every subject in the written parts of the General Certificate of Education Examination, GC, ordinary and advanced levels. It is 12:25 p.m. and candidates at the Government Bilingual High School Bepanda Examination Center are being ushered in for Economics Paper 2 after Economics Paper 1 in the morning.
It was so cheap because our teachers has already emphasized us how to answer past GCE multiple questions. It was so friendly for me to see past questions repeating themselves. Now we are going for paper 2.
I wrote my first paper very well. There were no challenges. Everything was fine. There are some that we revised in school, the teachers gave us, and there were some questions that we saw it for the first time, so we tried our best to answer all of it.
No, through the revision we had in class, everything was easy. The exam we wrote was very cheap. This
center is one of the largest in the economic capital city, Douala, and candidates know that they must play by the rules in order to avoid a possible mix-up.
Normal, it is a national exam, so there must be control. They don't have to allow us to feel free to copy and do all the rest, but you have to write what you know because it is a national exam. The things that they insisted that we must have, your private timetable, your uniform. If you are wearing a t-shirt, you must not put on your slippers, you must dress decently, and you must bring your school national ID card. For instance, if you are an external student, you must have your national ID card.
The center recorded an over 98% present despite few absences.
As usual for all exams, with the O-level general we had 10 absences. Advanced level general we had 6 absences, advanced level technical we had 2 absences, and advanced level O-level technical we have 2 absences recorded. So, but generally it was good because we recorded about 98% of candidates who were present today this morning for paper 1.
Satisfied with the turnout and hitch-free nature of day 1, officials of the Bepanda Examination Center say that this team will be maintained throughout the exercise.
So far, so good. I'll start by appreciating God for a successful start. The beginning was not very easy, but it went on successfully. The first part has been written, and everything went on smoothly. We did not have any problem.
Under high security surveillance, the Government Bilingual High School Bepanda Examination Center is accommodating some over 2,197 candidates. 900 of them are going in for the ordinary levels general certificate, 371 for the advanced level general, 247 for advanced level commercials, and 225 for the ordinary levels commercials.
And now to the southwest region, where the region has recorded an increase somehow in the number of candidates sitting in for the GC exams this year. And according to Dr. Hannah Mbua-Itonde, the regional delegate for secondary education for the southwest, say they have over 40,000 candidates sitting in for the GCE. Now, how did the day one of the exams go in Broya and Limbe? Smart Jikan Gabriel has the details.
For security reasons and the fear of the unknown, with the Anglophone crisis still very alive during the start of the written phase of the GCE in Bilingual Grammar School BGS Moliko, as well as Government Technical High School GTHS Moliko, all candidates had to drop their bags outside the school premises to avoid any sort of inconveniences during the exams. The students were forced to get into the school campus with just their examination timetables and the writing materials. At BGS and GTHS Moliko, the examination started without any hitches. In Limbe, the senior divisional officer of FACO, Shuaibu, made some stopovers at Government High School and Government Bilingual High School. At GHS Limbe, the senior divisional officer visited mainly the candidates sitting for the GCE exams, while at Government Bilingual High School Limbe, both the GCE and baccalaureate candidates were given a word of encouragement by Shuaibu. In the entire Limbe municipality, about 5,000 candidates have registered for the June session of the GCE. There was an increase in the total number of candidates sitting for the GCE exams this year, with Southwest region registering over 40,000 candidates.
And now let's listen to the regional delegates for secondary education for the Southwest region. Dr. Hannah Mbua-Itonde, she talks about how they have been preparing for the exams and also throws more light to the statistics recorded this year.
Already into the GCE, we had prepared for the GCE by, convening meetings with stakeholders, by, putting strategies together on intensifying vigilance, security, and ensuring that our examination centers are serene. We've put everything in place, and practical session already taking place, and we started with the written phase of the GCE examination. I would like you to note that the region is not only involved with the GCE exams, we also have other examinations that are going on. For example, as we speak, examinations organized by Office du Bac is on. For the technical, it already took place and ended last week. And so the region is into examinations. For statistics, yes, for the GCE that you have come for, we have 20,205 candidates for ordinary levels GCE general, and for ordinary levels GCE technical, we have 5,115 candidates. For advanced level general, 13,748 candidates, and the TVEE, that's the technical GCE advanced level, 2,946. So in all, for the GCE run examinations, we have this year 42,014 candidates, as against less than 40 last year, 40,000 last year.
And now Cornelius Awunjia Asong is the sub-director in charge of examinations in the Southwest region. He talks about the 3 different exams taking place in the region. Let's listen to him in this excerpt.
There are 3 different exams are going on in the region. We have the GCE run by the GCE board. We have the baccalaureate run by the Office du Bac, and we have the CAP and APC exams run by the DEC, by the ministries. So at this moment, all the 3 exams are on. Monday, we started with the baccalaureate general. In actual fact, we had 391 candidates that registered for the Baccalaureate General, and 395 candidates were present. So you can realize that we have some few absence of about 6 candidates that are absent for the Baccalaureate General. And with the direct exams, we have to carry out some practical part of it. The written part of it will fully go into gear on the 5th. We have 3,284 candidates that have registered for the direct exams, which is the CAPM for the Teachers Training Certificate, the BPC, and the CAP certificate. This will take place from the 5th of June to the 14th of June. Those of candidates who were absent, the back exams, most of them are francophones, and we realized that most of them were military children from military parents that must have moved to other regions with an immediate transfer. So at that moment, it was not due to the school or the candidate himself or herself, it's due to the nature of the parents that have moved to other regions. The first time we started writing the back technique. For the past years, we have just back general. This year, we had the back technique of written in the Southwest region. I think that is a great improvement. And secondly, also, Government Bilingual Technical High School started operationally the first cycle of the common entry and implement technique. It means that this academic year, they are going to have the first batch of bilingual students for technical education. As time goes on, the region is getting complete as exams is concerned.
Still talking about the GCE, we now take you down to Kumba from Boya. In Kumba, in the Mehmet division, the examinations were written under high security. The senior divisional officer for the Mehmet division, Tundong Chamberlain, visited most of the accommodation centers, which were highly guarded, as Lucy Liengu is here tells us in the report which comes up next.
Security was tight in all accommodation centers in Kumba Mehmet division. Over 7,739 candidates registered for the 2023 GC Ordinary Level and A-Level examinations sat in for their first papers.
Number of candidates has been multiplied by 2. Because this time around we are having 7,000, around 800 students who are writing exam this year in the Mehmet division. And that one is a testimony. We remember last year we had around 3,000, 4,000. This time around we have 7,000. That one is a testimony that.
Ntundong Chamberlain, senior divisional officer of Mehmet division, ensured that the students were in a safe environment.
We have also realized that things are moving forward under very tight security. I gave instruction to the Forces of Law and Order to take adequate measures in order to be sure that things are moving risk-free. In general, just what I can see, the SGO, like the father of the division, is blessing all the students who are writing, and may Almighty God guide them.
Most halls were visibly empty as students were sparsely distributed according to their names, respecting the alphabetical order. School authorities, on their part, put in place strict measures so students do not go against exam rules. The GC 2023 session started in the Mehmet division, hitch-free.
And now from the southwest, we take you to the northwest region. The senior divisional officer of the Ndonga Mantung division expressed his determination to ensure that students sitting in for the 2023 June session of the GCE ordinary and advanced level examinations are secured despite the security challenges hitting the northwest and the southwest regions during the examination centers in his area of jurisdiction. He encourages students to be focused. Immaculate Fogwe is our lady on that beat.
For security reasons, our camera is filming these students from the back. The students from different institutions in Ndonga Mantung division have braved the security challenges across the northwest and southwest regions to sit in for the 2023 session of the GC Ordinary and Advanced Level Examination. Visiting 6 out of the 9 examination centers in this jurisdiction, The Senior Divisional Officer for Donga Mantum Division, Do Simon Quenty, encourages the students to be focused and give in their best.
I believe that the GCE this year was better programmed than the preceding years, in the sense that the mobilization was done well in advance. The ministry in charge of the exams did their part of the work whereby dispatching all the materials and logistics to the centers and personnel on time. And that is why this morning it began hitch-free.
Out of the 1,392 candidates expected, 1,387 answered present. This is the highest number of students taking part in the exam in Cambe subdivision since the start of the armed conflict in 2016.
So, our mission too was to verify whether the security dispositions we took are feasible, because we knew that it's an exam with a difference, and as a result, all security dispositions must be taken for the children to write in a security-free environment. So, all our objectives are met, and we feel that the GCE is going on hitch-free in Donga Mantum, and we expect very good results as always.
The June session of the GCE Ordinary and Advanced Level Examination will run for a period of 3 weeks.
And now we move on to these lead story furors. What transpired after Equinoxe yesterday? Why was one of the guests of the program Equinoxe whisked off by armed security officers immediately after the program? Barrister Kamwa Limen condemns the unlawful arrest of a peer, Barrister Fabien Kenye, following his participation in a program over Equinoxe that was on Equinoxe TV yesterday. In the report which comes up next, the legal mind tells us what the law says about arrests in Cameroon. He spoke with Babila Jonathan.
After taking part in Monday's edition of Equinoxe, Maître Fabien Kenye was taken away by security officers at the entrance into the Equinoxe Media House in Accra, Douala. The security officers took him away without a warrant of arrest, as prescribed by the Cameroon Criminal Procedure Code.
The Criminal Procedure Code, in its section 11 right up to 38, deals with arrest. And when it concerns judicial police officers arresting, it is normal that they come in uniform to identify themselves, first of all, because it's only at that time that you know the difference between a kidnapper and an officer of the law. So they should come and identify themselves properly, identify the person to be arrested, and present to that person a warrant of arrest.
The Criminal Procedure Code defines the circumstances in which an individual can be arrested without an arrest warrant.
The only instance provided by the law where you can arrest an individual without a warrant is when the person is caught committing an offense that we call it flagrant delicto. When in that kind of a situation, you can actually apprehend somebody and detain the person.
With regards to the fact that Maître Fabien Kenye's case does not fall in this category, Barrister Kamwa Limen qualifies his arrest as an abduction, a violation of human rights.
The person who was arrested, Barrister Kenye, is a legalist, he's a human rights activist, and if there was no warrant of arrest presented against him, the people who arrested him should know that they are into big trouble. They are into big trouble because nobody has the right. We live in a society where we respect the laws. We live in a country where we've ratified and signed international treaties to protecting human rights. And one of the right to liberty is so sacrosanct.
He does not understand how security sources are attributing the arrest of Barrister Kenye to a case of mistaken identity.
It is terrible. It is terrible because you need to properly identify the person you are arresting.
To Barrister Kamwa Limen, nobody should be deprived of the right to liberty and other fundamental human rights, even by mistake.
Just to mention that Barrister Fabien Kenye was released shortly after the arrest yesterday. In other news, viewers, civil society actors and political figures say the Operation Sparrow initiated to fight corruption in Cameroon has not been of any tangible impact on the Cameroonian society. They say the weaknesses of the operation has cast doubts on its credibility, leading to collateral damages. Legal minds on their part say some arrests within the operation have violated legal procedures and victims should be compensated. For me, Armstrong Sander completes the story for us.
Civil society actors, political analysts and political party leaders are unanimous that the initiation of the Operation Sparrow Hawk in 2016 as part of the anti-corruption fight in Cameroon wasn't a bad idea. Their disagreement starts from how much fish the anti-graft net has caught since 2006, why the selective sparrow hawking, and how much has been recovered into the state coffers in Cameroon.
But we have not yet recovered the money. That's the problem. Most of the money have not been recovered back to state funds. We think that what President Paul Biya put as Operation Sparrow Hawk, let the money be refunded into the state coffers. It is very important for nation building. We need to build Cameroon. We need an emergence Cameroon.
As if confirming the arguments of the opposition that the well-intended operation has been hijacked and transformed into a political tool, some administrators are arrested and directly jailed in violation of laid down legal procedures.
We have the anti-corruption Cameroon that pinpoints these people, but they don't, at the end, they don't pass judgment, they don't pass sanctions.
Some like Professor Détenons, Bruno Bicolo and others were arrested, jailed and later found not guilty, raising more questions on the credibility of the Operation Sparrow Hawk.
Now, we see that, taking the case of Professor Détenons, we see that he was falsely imprisoned for 5 years, disrespecting the provisions of Section 221, Sub 1 of the Cameroon Criminal Procedure Code, which clearly states that the examining magistrate shall remand somebody for a period not exceeding 6 months or at most 12 months. He was remanded illegally for 5 years.
The head of the Anyan Lewis law firm in Buea says these victims have every right to sue the magistrate.
He should sue the magistrate and the magistrate will compensate him damages. Under the international human rights laws also is entitled to compensation, and suing the magistrate is governed strictly by Section 629 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which is termed privileged proceedings. Since it's a magistrate, they have their own special proceedings to follow. So Professor Détenons and Professor Bruno Bicolo and all others who have been falsely imprisoned by the Cameroon justice system, they have the right to sue and be compensated. You cannot falsely imprison a citizen for so many years in total disrespect of the law.
Considering the failures recorded so far, some critics stand that the fight against corruption is half-hearted on the part of the Yaoundé regime. On the other hand, ordinary Cameroonians eagerly await the trial even of suspects fingered by the media in the multiple scandals from the COVID-19 through the Glencore to the AFCON gate.
And now, before we take you out of our national frontiers onto this human interest story, a man whose name we called as Justice Modika was found dead in the streets of Kumba recently, and the local population say he was killed by some armed individuals on his way from work. While Mamfe in the Manu division, a suspected separatist fighter, was also found dead, his body lying in the street. Let's now have more on those human interest stories with Mala Glory.
This is the body of a young designer, Justice Modika, that was found at the Preventive Street neighborhood in Kumba, Southwest region. Inhabitants and family members who gathered around the corpse say he was killed by unidentified individuals and dumped on the street. They say the incident occurred while he was returning from work. The divisional officer for Kumba 1, Ali Onugo, who visited the crime scene, ordered that the corpse be disposed. And in Mamfe, still in the southwest region, Do Divine, aka Adamawa, a suspected separatist fighter, was found dead at Mile 4 Okoyong. According to the people of this neighborhood, the disease has caused a lot of harm to them and has pushed many to flee from their homes due to his numerous atrocities.
This guy has been a prisoner for over 20 years. This is one of them that is disturbing the peace-loving population of this market. And we are calling on all those still carrying up arms that they should drop their arms. Enough is enough. If not, I will continue to bury them like that.
The mayor of Murphy, Robertson Tabenchong, during his visit on the site, called on the separatists to drop their arms for an inclusive dialogue so that peace will return to Murphy and the entire southwest region.
In foreign news, we move on to neighboring Nigeria. The new president of Africa's largest democracy, Nigeria, has used his inaugural address to make a major policy announcement to ease pressure on government finances. We're expecting to have the images on our screens. Bola Tinubu said the decade-long subsidy on petroleum products was being scrapped and fuel subsidy is gone, he told a packed crowd in the capital, Abuja. He won disputed elections with a promise to renew hope, but he faces tough economic and security challenges. It is not clear when the new policy will kick in, but ending the subsidy will lead to a rise in the price of petrol or fuel and could have a knock-on effect on other prices. Previous Nigerian presidents have tried and failed to end the subsidy that was first introduced in the 1970s. Despite its oil wealth, Nigeria is unable to refine enough crude to meet local demands, so it imports petroleum products which are then sold at a government set price. But the subsidy is a huge drain on public finances. Last year, it gulped 4.3 trillion naira, and for the first half of this year, 3.36 trillion naira was budgeted for that. The new president said the subsidy could no longer be justified and that the funds would instead be spent on public infrastructure and to improve the lives of the people of Nigeria. Now let's listen to a barrister at law from Nigeria. In this excerpt, he is analyzing the decision by Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
I can't remember any of the major political party or any of the presidential candidate actually campaigning with retention of the subsidy. All of them campaigned that we are going to yank up the subsidy, and also coupled with the fact that the outgoing government also did not budget for subsidies. So, but what people really are quarreling about is that it shouldn't have come on, shouldn't have been announced on the day of inauguration, and that's simply, the major problem. And then there's panic buying, also coupled with the attitude of Nigerians, people who also, wanted to take want to take advantage of the situation. People who have old stocks are now, hoarding, wanting to sell at a new price. And then people also wanted to buy with the expectations that at least let them even manage in the old price before it gets, to the new price regime is introduced. So that's why there's all of this crisis. Considering what the tenure of the current president now, when he was governor in Lagos State, so a lot of people, are hopeful. A lot of supporters are hopeful that, he would indeed make a change. And then also against the backdrop of the fact that the immediate past president is not as cerebral as he is, even though age, is a challenging factor. So some people are optimistic that he will do well. And then, the economists, a lot of the economists also are of the view that truly this is the best time to remove subsidy and this is the best thing to do, considering the fact that all of the other presidential candidates would have done the same thing if, they were in his shoes also. So, by and large, it is only time that will tell, whether it's a good decision and whether this decision was properly managed.
Barrister Liborus Ushoma speaking all the way from Nigeria to our reporter Babila Jonathan. In this other excerpt, he says, however, if well managed, the fuel subsidy will be profitable for the nation and her people as a whole. Once again, let's listen to him. Well, we will come back to...
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.